Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I know I'm a little bit sweaty and something's happening with my voice. My throat is feeling a bit weird, but yeah. Anyway, today is story time. This is my very first story time video, and I think I'm doing this because I want to let you guys in on a bit about my life. Basically, I went through a whole lot of stuff this year, and I just want to share one experience with you guys that made me stronger, and that that made me stronger. And basically, I'm also doing this because this is kind of like a tribute, yes, to my late grandmother. She passed away earlier this year, and this is basically what the video is about: how to deal with pain and how to move on, and how there's always sunshine at the end of the tunnel. And I know that, like, with loss, people look at the only type of loss like being death, you know, but the loss of a friend, the loss of a lover, and I mean through like breakups, like friendship breakups and relationship breakups, I feel like those are also like losses. And I mean, you can't compare them to death or whatever, but when someone isn't in your life anymore and they're not filling that position that they were originally filling, it's hard, you know. So basically today I just want to talk about that, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay guys, so basically this was my grandmother from my father's side. So like, my grandmother is the only grandparent I can say I was really close to. And I say this because, I mean, my grandmother from my mom's side, there is so many of us, like she has so many grandchildren. I have a lot of cousins on my mom's side, so basically the attention was sort of split, nah? Yeah, the attention was split. But with this grandmother, I mean, she was my grandmother. That was Gogo, you know. And she didn't raise us because my parents raised us, but then we'd always visit her house. She was such an independent woman. She, you know, she was just great. And I think in 2010 or 2011 she got sick, and that's when we thought we were going to lose her. And in 2011 she got really sick, and she was living alone, and she refused help. She didn't want like any helpers or whatever, so we just decided it's better for her to stay with her children, which is my dad and my other two aunts. So she would like shuttle between like the two places. My one aunt lives in Mafikeng and my other aunt lives in Durban. Hi. Aunt Nsari and Aunt Selane. And then then my dad, which is here in Cape Town. So she would shuttle between or whatever. And I think on her 80th birthday, that's when like her and I, the bond started, nah? And why I'm saying the bond started then is because she was always just a grandmother. But on her 80th birthday, we celebrated her 80th birthday when we were in Bloemfontein. And basically her and I just became close then. I think that's when the connection actually like grew stronger. And I was older, and you know, we could talk about other things, and she was a very, very wise woman. And you know, she was just one of the women I can really look up to, a single mother who raised 3 of her kids to be like phenomenal human beings. And you know, she was just a really powerful lady. And so, okay, so last year, oof, I'm talking so much, but it's story time, guys. So last year she moved in with us. So I remember my aunt from Mafikeng and her, they used to live together, and they came to visit us over the June holidays. And basically my grandmother stayed, and she stayed for I think most of last year. She was with us, and that was the most amazing time ever. Like, her and I used to fight so much, guys. Like, she was so strict, and when I'd come back late she would, you know, just shout at me, and it was just such a mess. But I mean, that's when her and I became like really, really close. And like, I remember times when I'd come back from school and I'd go lie with her, and she was always lying in her bed, and I'd go lie with her like in the bed, and it would just be cute. And I was so obsessed with her hands. So my grandmother had, like, obviously she was old, so she had wrinkled hands, but I was so obsessed with her hands because these were the hands that raised such powerful people, that did the work, that, you know, when my grandfather left them when they were young, you know, she took I'm not gonna get emotional, guys. Nah, I'm not gonna ruin my makeup. I'm not gonna get emotional, but like, yeah, these were hands of a woman who took care of her children. So I was really obsessed with her hands. I'd always play with her hands, and yeah, So last year she moved. After living with us, she went to Durban for a while, and then she went back to Mafikeng, and then my aunt was moving to Joburg, so they moved to Joburg together. And then in January she kept complaining about chest pains, and yeah, long story short, she passed away on the 17th of, was it the 17th of January. It was a Tuesday evening. And basically what happened was, I remember my dad, we were watching the Queen. My mom and I were watching the Queen in the living room, and my dad was in the bedroom. And then he comes to us and he says, okay guys, I just got a call from your aunt. Your gran has just collapsed. They took her to the doctor and she just collapsed. So we decided to pray that God, like, they're trying to resuscitate her. So we started to pray that God, like, you know, helps her come out of this, you know. And I don't know, I guess we just wanted her to be okay. As much as she was 82, she had just turned 82, I don't think we were ready for her to go. So we prayed for God to be with her, and then when after we prayed, we called to find out how she was doing, and we found out that she passed away. And that was difficult. That was really, 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 really hard. And just the fact that she was no longer going to be there, you know, the thought of it's over, you know, her hands, her jokes, she was a very funny woman, her strictness, like there was going to be none of that. But anyway, you know, when you hear that someone dies, you cry, and then you think, okay, now we have to start planning for the funeral. So we didn't really get to deal with the pain because she died on the Tuesday and we buried her on the Sunday. So we were just like trying to get everything together, whatever. She had a beautiful funeral. And after the funeral, her funeral was in Joburg. And at her funeral, guys, like, people had such amazing things to say about her. And I think that was the most beautiful for me, because I got to experience her, but I was glad that she let other people experience her as well. You know, when my gran would call you, you'd think you're the only one. And she'd call like a million other people, but when she's talking to you, you think, you know, you're the only person in her life. And that's how she was. And I just thought, you know, what about me? You know, what kind of woman am I going to be? What mark am I going to leave behind? And so life went on, and it was so hard for us to adjust. And her children, I mean, my aunts and my dad used to speak to her like maybe 3 times a day. and you can't even say that, you know, that's too much or whatever at such a grown age. That's the person she was. You know, she'd always want to know what's happening in your life. She was just that type of person. And I think most of the time she'd call them, she was just that lady. And for them it was hard. No more phone calls from my gran and none of that, you know. And it was really hard. And I remember I would just often just like cry, like randomly just start crying and just be like, why, you know. And as much as she was 80 and it was her time, 82, it was her time, but you're never quite prepared for these things, and that was the worst. It was. And basically, she was such a strong woman that it would be like, for me to still cry about it now would be doing her like injustice. Do you get me? Like, I can't, she would have long been over this. And so I need to take the strength that she has passed down to me and just be okay, you know. And basically, when you look at life, now this is the application part of the story. 6 months ago, I wouldn't think I would be where I am now, where it's okay, she's gone, that's fine, you know. And that's the thing, that's what we don't realize, is that it's not okay now, but it will be okay. And as much as it's hard to hear that in that moment, you know, it passes. Like the saying, this too shall pass, is so deep, because it really, really does pass, you know. And like, I know a lot of people deal with the passing of someone differently, but it passes, guys. Like, you know, if you're watching this and you're going through something deep and, you know, you're thinking, and it doesn't even have to be death. I mean, you could just be stressed, and it really does pass. Think about the times you were happy. Like, life works like that. There are times where, you know, we're at our peak, we're happy, everything is going well, and then there are really those low moments where you're just like, damn, you know. So yeah, and another thing is, you need to, when you're going through things, you need to surround yourself with people who love you and who care about you. That is so important. You can't get through things without like a proper support system, and that's when you need to analyze who are your friends, what is their role in your life, and whatever. I had really supportive friends. All my friends at that moment were really for me, and some of them may not be my friends now, but I really do appreciate the role that they played, you know, throughout that whole time, because they really were there for me. And that's what you need to get through it, you know. People who aren't tired of you calling them and crying, people who aren't tired of holding you, people who don't get tired of, you know, just wiping your tears. Because in this world we're living in, people do really get tired of that stuff. No one is trying to care about you forever, and that's just really sad. That's the society we're living in. So you need to get like ride or die people when you're going through something. And don't have, you know, there are some people who just have a negative energy naturally. Those are people you don't need when you're going through stuff. Do you get me? Where even if you're happy and you're not going through something, but you're constantly fighting with those people, it's in those times where you need to let them go, because you need to focus on yourself. And yeah, I just realized that, you know, I just needed to be surrounded by people who love me, and that's how I got through this. And talking about it helps, guys. And I know sometimes you shouldn't just tell everyone your business, but that's why it helps to have people you trust. A ride or die, guys. You really need a ride or die. So yeah, that's how I got through it. And basically, also to keep motivated, I used to listen to a lot of uplifting music, and for me that's Joyous Celebration. Hi. Joyous Celebration, there's a song in Joyous Celebration 20 that is in Zulu, but basically to translate it in English, it says, in this life we're living in, you're always going to pass through a place that's very thorny, and what helps through that time is that God constantly has you on his mind. And I think that song got me through everything I was going through. That, you know what, I'm hurt now, but I'm hurt now, but you know, God still has me on his mind. And yeah, I guess I just did this video to just let you guys know that, you know what, if you're going through something and something is hurting you right now, or you've also lost someone, or you're just like not at your peak and you're really down in the valley, that it passes. It really does. And now whenever we talk about her as a family, it's in a celebration way. Like, we celebrate her life and no one cries about it anymore. And yeah, everyone is just at a better place. So I guess, yeah, that's the end of story time. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And I mean, it's a video about the passing of my grandmother, so if you don't give it a thumbs up, I mean, and a picture, I'm joking guys, no emotional blackmail, and a picture of me will be somewhere on the screen. I don't want to point at it because I don't know where I'm going to add it, but just click on that picture and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I'm always grateful, and I'll always be grateful for the support you show. Bye till next time.